The beautiful thing about all of these things I've listed is that they can also be given as gifts to your loved ones. So you're a beginner sewist and you don't know what to sew. Well, in this video, I'm going to be sharing 15 things that you can sew that will take you a very short amount of time, from 10 minutes to 15 minutes, sometimes even 30 minutes. So stick around to the end because I have some really great things to share with you. There are some of them that I have tutorials for on my channel, so I will link those in the description box. But the ones that I don't have tutorials for, I will link tutorials from other YouTube channels. And in the future, I will create tutorials of my own and have those linked eventually. First of all, let's talk about what makes a sewing project easy. One is straight lines. So most of the lines that you're sewing are straight. And number two is that it takes a short amount of time. So like I said, about 10 to 30 minutes. The next thing that makes a sewing project easy is that it has few pieces. There are some sewing projects that have 20, 30 pieces, but beginner sewing projects, easy ones, tend to have 2 to 3 pieces, sometimes even just one piece. Another thing is that you don't need zippers or buttons. There are some beginner projects that will require zippers, but they're fairly easy to install. And then the final thing I would say that makes something an easy sewing project is that it uses basic fabrics. So fabrics that are not hard to work with. For example, chiffon fabric is hard to work with, velvet fabric is hard to work with, spandex, anything that stretches tends to be pretty hard to work with. Most of them you can just use like a cotton type fabric or a woven fabric to make them. By the way, if you are fresh to the sewing journey, which I'm assuming that you are, check out my video where I talk about how to start your sewing journey. That will give you lots of practical steps that you can take. Number one is drawstring bags. And this one is easy to make. It only requires 2 pieces and 2 strings, depending on if you use string to make your drawstring or if you want to use fabric. It just has a few steps. I don't have a tutorial for this on my channel, but I will have one linked. Drawstring bags are also really helpful in terms of the fact that you can store little things in them. This is an example of a drawstring bag. It's made with organza fabric. I have tags in here as well as other small pieces that I've cut that I want to keep in one place. It's so easy, guys, to make one of these. You can make it out of any fabric that you would like to. But I would recommend, cotton type fabrics that are easy to work with. And they can also be very cute. It can be a nice way to store your jewelry. It could be a cool way to store tags, just like me. Maybe you are selling products and you want to have like a little packaging for your products. This is a great idea for that as well. Number 2 is scrunchies. I do have a tutorial for this on my channel, and scrunchies are really easy to make. They only require 1 piece along with an elastic that goes with it. And it's so functional. You can wear it on your arm, like a bracelet kind of vibe. You can wear it in your hair. You can sell them. They're quick to make. You can make so many of these in a short space of time. And I think it's great to start with these projects because you will get to flex your sewing muscle essentially. Like, you're practicing, and the more you practice these simpler pieces is the more you will feel confident to work on more advanced pieces. Scrunchies can be made with stretch velvet fabric, and I did mention earlier that that can be a difficult fabric to work with, but because of the fact that it only has a few steps, it can be really simple despite it being stretch velvet fabric. The thing I love about stretch velvet scrunchies, I think they look better than any type of fabric that you can make a scrunchie out of. I also like the silk ones, or satin, I believe. Those sheeny type of fabrics make some really good scrunchies. Number 3 is cushions. Cushions only require 2 pieces. You don't need to add a zipper. You can add a zipper if you want to, but you don't need to add a zipper, and you don't need any buttons. All you need is the 2 pieces like I mentioned and something to stuff your cushions with. You could buy filling at the fabric store, you could use sponge, or you could use scrap fabrics, you could use feather. I mean, that's a really old-fashioned way to make cushions, but you can still get it done. I have a tutorial on my channel for that, so it will be linked in the description as well for you to watch. You literally just put two pieces of fabric together, sew around it, leave a space, turn it out, and just like that, you have a cushion. The beautiful thing about cushions too is you can use this for home decor. You can make cushions as gifts. You can make cushions in plain fabric and print things on them, or you could add appliques on them. The tutorial that's on my channel has an applique for a heart. And in that tutorial, I also show you how to draft a pattern for a cushion. I also like the fact that with cushions, you can make them in lots of different shapes. So you can make a cushion in the shape of a heart, in the shape of one of your favorite countries. You can make a cushion in the shape of a rectangle or a square or maybe even a circle. There are lots of ways that you can get creative with making cushions. Number 4 is pillowcases. Pillowcases really just require 1 to 2 pieces of fabric. So there are different ways that you can make pillowcases. That's why I say 1 to 2 different pieces of fabric. But you pretty much just put 2 pieces together or 1 piece together, stitch around, and then you leave one end open and top stitch the ends of it. So that right there is pretty simple. I don't have a tutorial for this on my channel, but it's a really easy sewing project that you can work on that will help you to get some sewing practice. Another easy beginner-friendly sewing tutorial that you can work on is a scarf or a head wrap. And I put these two together because the principle is pretty much the same. The only thing is the shape is different. I have a tutorial on my channel for this. I'm probably going to say that a lot throughout the remainder of this video, but you can find that linked in the description box down below. It's as simple as getting a piece of fabric in the shape that you want your head wrap or your scarf to be, and then folding and stitching the ends of it. This could also be used for making a tablecloth. I would also recommend this for if you want to make like a wash rag or like a kitchen cloth. It just depends on the type of fabric that you're using. Scarves can come in really handy during cold times, you know, winter and fall. And head wraps can come in handy if you just like wrapping your hair overall. The beautiful thing about it is that scarves can be used as head wraps and head wraps can be used as scarves. The 6th thing that you can sew that would be very easy to make is a key fob or a key wristlet, whatever it is that you like to call it. I did make a short video about how to create a key fob, and it's pretty much one of those things that you will hook your keys onto. It can be made in, I would say, like 10 to 15 minutes if you have a sewing pattern. Even if you don't have a sewing pattern and you're just going to draft one together, then you can easily create this key fob. It's going to be linked in the description box down below so you can check it out and actually make yourself a key fob or a key wristlet. The 7th thing that you can make as a beginner sewist is a zipper pouch. There are many ways that you can make a zipper pouch. You can make square ones, you can make long rectangle ones, you can make circle ones, but of course, the more complicated you get, the more it goes away from being a beginner project. I have a few tutorials, or probably one tutorial on my channel showing you how to make a zipper pouch. And I do have one recorded that I need to edit for you guys, but there are several of them on the internet. Just type in zipper pouch sewing tutorial, and this can be used to store a variety of things. It can be used as a coin purse, a pencil case, something that you take feminine items in. You can make big zipper pouches, you can make small zipper pouches, and you can make a lot of these in a short space of time. Everything I'm mentioning here can be made in large quantities in a short space of time. The 8th thing that you can make to flex your sewing muscle is a tote shopping bag. I call it a tote shopping bag. However, it can be used for other things like going to the beach or just going to the library or just everyday kind of activities. You essentially just take 2 pieces of fabric, stitch them together, put straps on the 2 pieces, and that right there is a tote bag. I have a sewing tutorial on my channel. Actually, I have 3 sewing tutorials on my YouTube channel showing you how to make totes. However, one of them is more advanced. I would say that the first one I ever did is the simplest and easiest one for a beginner to follow along with. In that same sewing tutorial, I show you how to make a zipper pouch as well. So that would be very, very helpful for you. You can make tote shopping bags in so many different colors. You could just make it in white, you can make it in an off-white color, or you can make it in all the beautiful colors that there are out there in the rainbow. You can print on it, you can add applique to it, you can tie-dye your tote bag. The possibilities are endless. The ninth thing that you can make as a sewing beginner is a hair bonnet. Hair bonnets are so much easier to make than you think it is, and I have 2 sewing tutorials on my YouTube channel showing you how to do that. You will literally just take 2 circle pieces of fabric, stitch them together, leave a space, turn it out, top stitch, put a piece of elastic in, stitch the ends together, and then you stitch the opening closed. It's so simple. You can make bonnets in different colors and sizes for yourself, for your family members. But hair bonnets are also really fun to make, and there are lots of different fabrics that you can make them with. I have made hair bonnets with just cotton fabric before, and I've made hair bonnets with satin fabric on the inside and cotton fabric on the outside. You can make hair bonnets with just satin fabric on both sides. It's okay to find one sewing project that you really like and that you find fun and make that over and over again. You don't have to do everything that's on this list because sometimes that can be overwhelming. Once you find that you have made something and you really like making it, you can make it again. And what will happen is that you're going to find mistakes in the first time that you try, and then the second time that you try, you're going to say, okay, I won't do this thing when I do the next project. And then you don't do that thing, and then you realize that the results actually turns out better than before. That's one of the ways that you can improve in your sewing journey. So I recommend doing the same thing over and over again until you get better at it. There will come a time where you'll start to feel like a master, and then you can move on to something else. And then you're going to make that over and over and over again as well. And then you become a master at that, and then you move on to something else. And right there and then it will give you confidence to work on even more complicated things. You can watch as many tutorials as possible to see how different people sew the same thing. One thing I've come to realize is that there are many different ways that you can sew the same thing. There are lots of different people out there with lots of different techniques, but the end result is always the same. Watch as many tutorials as possible and see which one resonates with you the most. Maybe there's something that's just easier on your brain and you just decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then you do that over and over again. Or maybe you could try one technique with one and then try another technique with another one and see which one you like more. See how the result turns out. So that right there is a quick tip for improving on your sewing journey. The 10th thing that you can make as a sewing beginner is a jar cover, which is actually very similar to making a hair bonnet. The only thing is it's not going on your head, it's going on a jar. Even if it's not going on a jar, it could be going on a bowl. So it's pretty much the same technique, and you would measure the size of the brim of the jar or the bowl that you want to cover, and then you'd add a few extra inches. And then you do the same thing that you do with a hair bonnet, add elastic to it, and then that will fit over the top of your jar or your bowl. I see a lot of people doing this when they're doing like sourdough or bread. Like you want to cover it to make it rise or something like that. I've never done that personally, but I know that it's a very helpful thing there. Also, maybe you are the type of person who, likes to cover your cup. If you're leaving your cup unattended, you can put the jar cover on top of it or the cup cover on top of it. I will link some tutorials that you can watch in order to learn how to do this. The 11th sewing project that I will recommend for beginners is elastic waistband shorts. And on the entire list, this is probably the most complicated out of everything. But I have found that it's a great way for beginners to practice and learn the skill of sewing. The most complicated thing in making an elastic waistband shorts is installing the elastic. But it can be really simple and easy if you're willing to apply yourself and open your mind to going through the entire process. The thing about sewing, I realize a lot of people have a challenge where they'll be doing a sewing project and they get frustrated at a certain part in the sewing project, and then that makes them just want to give up and never get back to it. But I want to encourage you to stick to it regardless of how difficult it feels. It's okay for something to feel hard. There's so many hard things you've done in your life before and you overcame them or overcome them. You stuck to it and you eventually got the result that you needed. New things are supposed to feel uncomfortable and unfamiliar because you've never done it before. Whenever you find that you feel challenged, my biggest advice is to take a break. Instead of giving up on sewing completely, just take a break. Even if it's just 5 minutes, even if it's the rest of the night, even if it's 2 days, but make sure that you come back to it. If you found a hiccup in a certain spot, take a break, watch a sewing tutorial about that thing, or type in that question on Google, and you might find a few solutions. Maybe you'll feel encouraged to get back to sewing right away, or you'll just get back to sewing the next day, or maybe in a few hours. But regardless, keep on going, and I promise you will eventually figure it out. If you let one single challenge, or maybe a few challenges, stop you from trying something that you've always wanted to do, then honestly, what's the point? I have several tutorials for elastic waistband shorts on my channel, and I have a pattern for that as well that you can download and put together. If you don't want to put this pattern together, I can teach you how to draft that pattern, which I do have a tutorial for that as well. So that's going to be in the description box down below and you can check it out. Why I like elastic waistband shorts is it's very practical, just like everything on this list. But you can wear elastic waistband shorts to the beach, you can wear it under your dresses, you can wear it to bed as pajama shorts, you can wear it to do sports, to jog, to do yoga. You know all the ways that a pair of shorts can come in handy. But there are ways that you can get creative with it. You can use different fabric for different legs. And I also have a tutorial where I show you how to add pockets to it. So be sure to check that out. The 12th beginner sewing project that I would recommend is a sewing machine cover. Sewing machines can get very dusty because they're just out there in the open. They're able to pick up dust, especially if you live in a dusty place or you're doing construction work at home or there's construction work outside. It's very easy for your sewing machine to pick up dust. So if you can stitch a sewing machine cover, that would be a great help to keep your sewing machine protected from dust. Not like dust is going to destroy it, but it's one of those other beginner-friendly sewing projects that you can work on that just requires one single piece and a few stitches. I don't have a tutorial for this, but I will eventually post one. For now, I will link some resources in the description box that will be helpful for you. The 13th thing I will recommend is a plant pot cover. Some plant pots look really unappealing, and you might not necessarily have money to buy another plant pot, or maybe you don't want to transplant your plant. So you just make a pot cover that you can put that plant pot into, and just like that, it seems like you have an entirely new plant pot. This is something that I have done before. I've probably made like 2 plant pot covers. I haven't really made any since, but they're actually quite fun to make. I will link tutorials from other channels that you can watch, and I will make tutorials for this as well in the future. If you want me to make patterns for all of these beginner sewing projects, comment "I want patterns" down below. This is perfect if you are a plant enthusiast as well and you want to add more color to your home. If you want to have all of your plant pots looking cohesive, you can use the same fabric to make plant covers for every single one of your plant pots. The beautiful thing about all of these things I've listed is that they can also be given as gifts to your loved ones. The 14th thing that I will recommend is pencil skirts. And there is a tutorial for this on my channel, thankfully, because I know this is going to be one of your favorite ideas. I love pencil skirts. I don't wear as many of them anymore because I'm preggo and the waistband hurts my belly, whether it is loose or not. But pencil skirts are often a go-to for me. You literally just need 2 pieces of fabric, put them right sides together, sew down the sides, stitch the hem, and add an elastic to the top. It's really that simple. So check out that tutorial and get into it. That one is one that definitely requires stretchy fabrics, but since you're going to be working with stretchy fabrics, I have a few recommendations. One is to use a stretch needle. Stretch needles tend to have a more ballpoint, so they will enter the fabric differently than how other needles will enter your fabric. You can also use stretch thread. Stretch thread will prevent your threads from popping when you sew your stretch fabrics. And if you aren't going to be using a stretching needle, then you can use a universal needle that is size 14 or smaller. Turn down the tension of your sewing machine. Stretchy fabrics tend to require a lower tension, while thicker fabrics require a higher tension. By the way, if you want to find out answers to 10 of the most common sewing questions when it comes to sewing machines, to know how to troubleshoot some of the problems that your sewing machine might be giving, watch this video that I have listed up here. It's also going to be in the description box down below. Now, the 15th thing that you can make as a sewing beginner is a knotted headband or several knotted headbands. Knotted headbands are really cute if you're a headband type of girl, or maybe if you have daughters, or maybe your mom likes headbands, maybe your sisters like headbands, or your cousins, your aunts, whoever it is in your life that may like headbands, you can make headbands for them, or you can make headbands for yourself. This is pretty simple and it just requires 3 pieces and some elastic. I don't have a tutorial on my channel for this yet. I am not a big headband type of fan, and I tend to make things that I wear and use personally. But I will still make a tutorial for you guys. Until then, I will have another channel's sewing tutorial linked down below that you can follow. And like I said, in the future, I'm going to be creating tutorials for every single one of these. If you want to know 15 ways that you can make money from sewing, then you can check out this video right here, and be sure to watch my beginner sewing projects playlist. If this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up and I will see you in the next one. Peace.